Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday morning, it's 9 a.m., and this is Norma Cowie with Norma Talks. You know, I've been doing this now for approximately two and a half years, and sometimes I teach and talk about basics, and often I seem to presume everyone knows them. But I realize that after all these years, not everyone goes back and watches early talks, which is probably a good thing. But so, based on what I've been picking up through the mental mind treatment evenings, by the way, those seem to be really working really well for people. And also, too, in my consultations and things, I realize that the basics sometimes have to be revisited. You have to go back and review them and relook at them. Now, for those of you that do come on, you'll notice a little note saying that you can put something in the chat line. I am going to do my talk. And if there is any questions or comments, I will address them after I finish my talk, because otherwise my older brain doesn't always follow the threads if they get interrupted like they used to. I used to be really good at being able to decide and come back. Not so good these days. But, you know, that's the thing we deal with as we get a little older and more involved with things. And I'm just going to change something here because I should have had that done already. There we go. Today, I'm talking about thoughts, emotions, and your vibration in your life. I read something just recently that was sent to me that a person was really putting down a lot of what I never considered myself a new ager, but that kind of thing where I studied growth. I wanted to feel complete. I want to be connected. That started off, I want to be connected to God and understand how things work. And that's how I evolved. I wanted to figure out how I worked because, boy, I didn't know a thing when I began. I'd had some religious background, but what does that really teach you in some ways? So consequently, I want to go over basics again in perhaps a little different way. Now, first of all, we are thinking beings. Even though I do talk a lot about how this is an emotional planet and that we need to be in touch with that, but I'm going to come back to that in a second. We think, whether we know it or not, we have thoughts. Thoughts go out and they create your personal vibration. Now, your personal vibration may not necessarily fit in with the world vibration, and that sometimes can be a little bit complicated, and I hope to address that a bit later. Now, there is a lot that says what we put out, we get back. That doesn't always happen, by the way, and there's a lot of variables which often I find are not taught, and I'll go over some of those in a minute. So think of it, I put things down to a second, but actually we think much faster than that. But if we think that every second a thought is going out, that's creating your particular vibration. So if you are in a depressed mode or a depressed sense of being inside, think nothing's working and feeling sorry for yourself or all those things that go on, the vibration dips. And when it dips, other things begin to happen in your life. And so it compounds so that we end up compounding more and more and more, and then beginning to feel like nothing is really working. I think if you're really in touch with things, that very often we forget to kind of play the thinking process back. We just presume that it's working effectively. Thing is to look around in your life to see, is it working effectively? Am I enjoying my life? Am I happy with what's going on? Sometimes we have situations come up that make us perhaps not so happy, but can we work with that? Can we accept that and deal with that and change our thinking about it, perhaps? Now, so we've got thinking. Now, what drives thinking? What drives it is the emotions or feelings that we have. Now, I like to separate the difference. Our body talks to us through feelings. Now, remember, this is my work. So you may read that somewhere else. That's fine. I know I began to put things together. So feelings come up. They are your body's way of talking to you. How to address that is to name the feeling. The more you can name the feeling, the more it'll just disappear because the body feels heard. So often I talk to people's, I call them their earth self, their body part, and they just don't feel heard because they're pushing and pushing and pushing to say, this is what I feel about all this. So you've got these two components. They need to be aligned. They need to be balanced. The thinking process, which our society gives a lot of credit to, and the feeling self, which often we don't want those funny feelings or those yucky feelings. But in reality, they need to be balanced. So that's why I found as soon as I began to talk to my feelings and name them, things got a lot easier. Things got a lot easier for me in relation to life. Did it mean the outside world got a lot easier? Not necessarily, but I coped with it better. I made better choices. I made different aspects that worked a lot better. And so that's what began to happen as I began to teach my students at the time and then my clients more and more about how to put these two together and balance them out. No, sometimes no matter what you do, things don't work. Now, why aren't they not working? There can be a couple of reasons, actually. One is, I just wrote some things down here. Others thinking and feelings may be affecting your circumstances. This happens because we do not know often what the world is going through. So, and our world has gone through a lot of different things in the last few years, but we are empowered for ourselves how we cope and deal and handle with that. We can be depressed, we can be cheery, we can ignore, all of those things we can do. But is it going to bring us the effect that we really want? Which is basically to live your life the happiest you can do it. Now, the other thing that I find very often is that you don't truly believe that what you want can be. That can be for various reasons of information coming in, what other people say, etc. I call it moving into a knowing state. When you know in your being, in your heart or whatever, your beingness, that something will be, time, we'll talk about time in a minute. I'm just making a note of that, make sure I touch onto that, is that if you do not believe or know exactly what's going on, just saying a sec, my computer's doing something funny here, and I just want to make sure. Yeah, don't know what I touched, but something was not looking right. Well, that's the topic, right? When things aren't going right. It's like the knowing state is, Now, time is something else. You might know something today and you believe in it and but then it doesn't seem to happen. It doesn't seem to happen. And sometimes what I find is and I hate to think of God this way, but it's like the big computer in the sky. And I think of how they want AI to run everything. And that's not what I'm talking about. It's like you put your thought out, how things have to be maneuvered around to give you what you want. But when you're in a knowing state, it will show up. And the miracles happen how things show it up. Often in my life, when I've had things go really unfortunate and I don't want to say wrong because they set me on another path in a way, is that miracles happen because I was all of a sudden in a place I wouldn't normally be, and some information came to me that was exactly what I needed to hear and know, and started off again in another same path, but different sort of trail. So believing, the knowing state is so important. The main thing when you're wanting to create is you have your goal. And also to make, I better mention this too, to make sure your goal is the end result, not the step towards the goal. So many people make this mistake. I've made it. We go, okay, in your mind you think, okay, I've got to make this, I've got to make this, I'm going to make this. But what they putting all your emphasis is on the step to the goal. I have a meditation actually that talks about that, how you check to see if the goal is the goal and what steps you need to take. It's really important that you're at peace with you, that in your heart of hearts, you know that no matter what's going on, the end result that you're desiring for yourself and maybe others, but for yourself, because that's really all you can command, will occur. Now, what are the things that can stop is guilt and regret. Those are the two quote unquote enemies of our world on our emotional state. I found that when I deal a lot with past life regressions, or we're dealing with other things is that if we have any regret that we're carrying, if we have any guilt that we're carrying, we'll take that with us, which is why we seem to repeat patterns. You can ask sometimes how many lifetimes has this pattern come up, and it's like many. Well, how come? It's because the soul, the essence of who you are, has not released that. It is still harboring. It is still feeling guilty, or it is still feeling regretful over situations that have happened. Excuse me a sec here. I'll have a drink of water. That should help. It's funny how my voice can get funny when I'm talking about very serious things. You see, the love force loves you. It wants the very, very best for you, no matter what. But do you want the very, very best for you, no matter what? Is your whole body in alignment to create what it is that you want? I find very often, sometimes, my mind says one thing, my body says another, and they're not incompatible. They're not working together. I really work to kind of change that. But at the same point, when I say I try and change, I still think that we need to be very clear as to end results of what we're wanting. And we listen to the feelings and we name them and we let them go. That if we have a guilt or a regret, we go into self-forgiveness. We've got to forgive ourselves. I found that's a large part of my past life regression work, is when we get to the person to the end of that life they're looking at, as they look back and find out if there are any regrets or anything, guilt, or etc. And then they connect with the light, as I call it, which is the universal love force, and they're able to forgive themselves for that. And then come back and then take it away from the bodies in this life where they're carrying it. Because we carry things. We have things that we carry. And then we work it around. But we've got to be sure that we really work on clarity. So let's just recap this for a minute. We have thoughts, we have feelings, which if they're not addressed, become emotions. And those energies is what drives the thought. So it's kind of mechanical in a way. But some people are more heady, which I have tended to be in my life. Others are more feeling. They're driven by their feelings. But really, we need a balance between the two. Thoughts in one hand, feelings in another, and we put them together so they balance out and they're balanced in our system. When things don't work out the way you want them, rather than get upset and depressed or feeling like, everything's against you, is that you stay calm and get more clear on what it is you want. And the main thing is really to have yourself feel peaceful and happy with you, that you are looking at the world. Right now it's sunny where I am. My flowers are out in my garden pots. It's the weather I love, and I feel really, really much easier than the winter when it's cold. I don't like that cold. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that you want to create what you want to do. So I do things that I really like. I watch the sports I like. I go to see movies. I watch different things. I see my friends. I used to eat out a lot. Lockdowns kind of stopped some of that. But anyway, it's like things change. And the thing is to be able to be flexible. So there's another word I want to add in the mix is flexibility. You need to be flexible in relation to get your goals. Seeing the end result, what you want, making really clear, you know what the end result is, not the step. The step is just part of getting there. But the knowing inside yourself, that is. See yourself, know it, and be with it is the main thing. No guilt or regret about anything that you've done or occurred. Stay present in the moment. That's another thing that becomes very, very important to be able to create. We are here to create the essence of what we want so that we're happy, peaceful, knowing within ourselves, and that we're able to be adaptive. Because I have found sometimes I wanted something and something else came along, and it was like I got you inside. Well, I have to follow this, and everything opened up again for me, because sometimes we are not that clever that we can see exactly how we're going to end up where we're going to end up. So we've got to be really, really, really sure of that. I always, for my clients, for myself, for my friends, really want everyone to create so that they have a happy, peaceful, enjoyable life. Sometimes, because of outside circumstances, that doesn't happen easily, but it can happen. Because when you're complete within yourself, you understand how life supports you, loves you, cares about you, whatever you call it. I've read for all sorts of religions. We're just the same people. We just have a different belief system in some respects. And the thing is to honor other people's belief systems. Don't see us as one unit working together on this world rather than different units, that they're good and they're, there's a lot of what is it called? Diversity. There's a lot of division going on in our world right now. The thing is to recognize that deep down, we're still the same. We have thoughts, we have feelings, we turn into emotion, we get upset, we get angry. That's usually because we can't get what we want and we don't know how to get it. So there's lots of things to understand. And if we understand them personally, then that vibration actually goes out into the world for others to kind of go, oh, hang on a minute, what am I doing here? Let's work on getting peace within the self so we can create that externally. If you're fighting with yourself because you're not getting what you want, think about other ways in which you can achieve that and get that and come to understand how that works. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, because I just keep running into this with people right now with so much changes going on. But I do see that there has been a comment here from Jerry. And she says, first of all, good afternoon, Miss Norma. Hope you enjoy your day. Yes, I will. Beautiful day here in Detroit. Well, I'm in the Penticton in BC, Canada. So yes, we have lovely weather. And then later she has put in a 46-year-old, almost 47, end of this month, and a Leo. Thank you for your good thoughts and recommendation, good movie shows. Well, I don't do so much on the movies part anymore because I'm doing 3 of these a week. But every now and again, I certainly do like to get on and have. I'm not doing really great reviews of them, but I did a quick one on 3 movies that I'd seen. And I've seen a few more, but I haven't felt very inspired to really kind of critique them, but who knows, I may add some more thoughts in other ways. But yes, I do love my movies. I used to, for years, go every Friday afternoon to a late afternoon movie. And I used to come home. That's how this, by the way, that's how this internet channel started, because I wanted a way to get out my movie reviews. And then when things began to shift and change, I started to talk more here because I didn't have classes, I didn't have meditation, so I began to add a little bit more. Thought, oh, I'll take this and start putting it out. Now we're up to 3 different shows, as you know. So there you go. Just never know what's going to happen. So just a reminder that on Monday nights, I do mental mind treatments, which is an alternative prayer method I use. And I also include my psychic abilities. If people give me 3 numbers between 1 and 22, when they write it in on the chat line, the different elements. I see also Maggie G is coming this morning saying, good morning. Glad to catch up with you today. Blessings. Blessings to you too. Maggie G comes often on Monday nights as well. I've known her quite well. So I'm just very happy that I can do that. If people realize I need to complete what I'm going to say so that I don't get too distracted. So then I can go to the chat line and answer or comment on what is being written up. I really, really, for all of you, want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for your subscribing. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for your comments. And some of those comments just so close to my heart, I'll tell you. No matter what, no matter how tired, no matter how I'm feeling, it's like I keep my schedule. Well, I've always done that in my life anyway. But I just want to wish you well today on this, what is it, the 5th? Yes, the 5th of July, and trust that this weather will be good. I've been watching a lot of tennis because Wimbledon is on, and they've had a lot of rain. The days behind, I think, now. And now Canadians are all waiting to play. So anyway, I want to wish you well. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being here. And I trust my words just add a little sparkle to your day. Blessings to you all. Bye now.